tugboats. They may look weird and are experimental, but I do not depict them for that, because they were custom built. Switching, towing, and ocean lining. Towing, switching, and ocean lining. These tugs can do it all. I've been thinking lately. Stories of the Lighthouse deserves its own dedicated video. Not a story, not a collection video, not a layout video. Which you should all check out those videos. I think a video telling you about all 4 tug fleets, some of the secondary characters, and some of the and talking about each and every episode. This is going to be a hassle to do. And with anything, notice this is tugs in Car City. So if you don't know what in the world is Tugs is a 1980 show created by David Minnett and Robert D. Cardona. Lots of fans of Tugs said, well, technically there's not a real smooth way. I know lots of people, no offense to all those people out there, who have made plenty of content about stories about Tugs. But there isn't a very smooth way for 2 things. Keeping the fans happy, not destroying the fans, and also making it kid-friendly. I've seen some of the episodes, and I really liked Tugs. Even though it has a bit of its down, even though I don't really like some of the episodes, I still like it. I would like to see more of Puffa. That's where William comes from, but we'll get into that soon after. Now, without wasting any more time, let's get in with the characters. The J-Stars, the main tug fleet, and starring none other than Bob. Bob is the number 1 of the J-Stars. Is the number 1 of the J-Stars and is technically like a leader to them. He can be a little cocky at times, but always is a good worker. That's my influence on 10 cents. Next is Tim. Tim is the number 8 of the J-Stars. Somewhat like Sunshine, but instead of being number 7, he's number 8. Yeah. I say, hello there. That's my top hat impression. And then there's number 9, Mila. Mila is the newest addition and will be the last J-Star to ever join the fleet. Mila wears the proud number 9 with pride. Is the same basis as a pilot tug, as Asteria, but we'll get into her a little bit later. Next up we have Chance, the cocky and rude one. More of a top hat, but unlike Top Hat, he got a redemption in a very scary way from old Appleton. Yep, used Appleton Hall as an influence. Chance wears the nice number 4. Beautiful tug. Next up is Tom. Yes, Tom of all characters. The more of a foolish type, bit of a foolish type, as swapping Bart. Be quiet! I'll be back right after this. Just because you quiet doesn't mean you can just rub it in and put it on. Sorry now. Anyway, sorry about that interruption. Chance is always there to help. Whether he's on a grumpy side or bad, he can help. But anywho, there's the next character, Hanko. Hanko used to where's the number 5 of the J-Stars? Hint hint, James. But unlike James, he's like the tough guy of the group. Once a Coast Guard, I think that Coast Guard of him must have gone to his head a bit too much. But he wasn't there alone as a Coast Guard tug. There was also Sarah. Sarah is also a Coast Guard tug. Was also once a Coast Guard tug. She's more of a safety kind of girl. But always means well. Next up, there's George. Oh yes. So if I go right or left? Hey Asteria, which way? Left, buddy. Thanks for the tip. If I think that was a tip. George is more of a sleeper. Unlike Tom, he's a bit confusable. And sometimes swap his barges with the S-stacks, which can get him in trouble at times, but means well, and always is up for work. And finally, the Edward, the Hercules of the team, Hercs. Named after Hercules, the tugboat himself. Such a very interesting tugboat that didn't really get spotlight. That also got a spotlight episode. Herc's the hero, based off of Edward's exploit. Some of the tugs will get spotlight episodes in season 2, but that's a story for another time. Then there's the rival fleet, the S-stacks. The S-stacks are the same number. In tugs, there were 5 Z-stacks. But I felt that isn't fair, and probably is why Captain Zero is who he is. Captain Star has more tugs than he is, and feels a bit jealous, and feels like he's crumbling. So I decided it would be fair if they got 9. Sorry, Charlie. Anyways, let's start off with Paul. Paul is more of a greediest character. Always put down the younger tugs. Did it for Mealy, but after Mealy, she only did it for Mealy. Did it to Mealy because he just wanted his barge back. He's just a rough guy who all the other tugs just seem to get rid of most of the times. But there can't be but the team isn't complete without a girl, of course. Sheila! What is going on? The explosion type. She's more of a designer in fashion and puts anyone to the test. And a sneaky one, if I ever told you. But Sheila always worked for pride with her fleet and never would put her down. Now there's Grendla. Sheelish is number 5. And then there's Grendla. He's more He's more of an unknown type, and he's the second who we don't S-stack that we don't see the most of. Stuff. Tunerton. And also where's the prideful number 6? Tunerton. Tunerton is the number 4 of the game. He's a bit of a sneakish character, as all the other S-stacks are, but always complains about work. Work, 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 he says. Then there's Orange Eyes. I think that's his name. Sorry if I got that wrong. But he wears the number 5, I think, and helps out any way he can. He's the S-stack that we see the least of, and we barely see him at all. I think I just made him for filler, but I can tell you he'll have a main role in season 2, I guess. Then there are the Switchers, starting with Med and Ted, a Zip and Zug remake. But unlike Med and Ted, they aren't that dumb. They're more of a rivalry. Both Switchers along with Charlie. They were the number 3 and 2. And then there's Charlie, where's the number 9. Charlie's just new, so there's not much known about him. But I can tell you, in season 2, there'll be lots known about him. Next, there's High Tide. He's the leader of the group and doesn't really funny business. I forget his number, as I'm forgetting all of the numbers. Now for the Greyhounds and Lightning Strikers. You see, I don't want to go through making this video as long as possible, so I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to go over to my computer and just, go through the characters instead. Sorry, you guys, but there's not much known about these characters. Mike. This one's called Chase. That's which is Chase. Carria. That's the girl. This one's called Lily. They're extras. This one's called Barry. Barry. This one's called Love. This one's called Arbu. This one's called Hicks. And this one's called Nick. Next up for the Play-Doh ones, which are, I think, look terrible. Stop it past me. We don't need to go through you. Want to redo these? I would probably make them out of Lego, as I do for all of them. At first I thought my Lego ones looked bad, but looking at these, I consider them better. So here are these characters' names. Here's Lightning, and here's Strike. The 2 main tugs. Here's Tittle, Middle, and Triple. Here's Flo, Mo, and Joe. Oh, and Prop. Yeah, so without wasting, also the show is littered with so many extra characters. And I'll get started until I get onto the stories of Lighthouse playlist, because I'm going to need it. Anyways, let's get into the secondary characters. Starting with Arian. Arian was once a fruit tram steamer. But due to coal shortages, he had to be turned into an electric boat. He was first upset about this, but soon to learn to grow in it. Yeah. Next up is Alan. A red cruise ship of the made-up Red Cruise Ship Company. There's Appleton Hall, Eureka, Bob. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so many secondary characters. The trains that are returning in season 2. I mean, the list can go on. Oh. So without making this, but I'll touch on more on them when we get into their episodes, including the Coast Guard crew. So and Lockie once worked with Tim. That's why they know each other so much and like chatting. That's in the history. And I'll just fix that later. Anyways, let's get into the episodes. Let's get started. Mystery of the Ship. Yep. A really original name. It's very weird. It's the pilot episode, in a way. Introduces so much of the port. Not really, because I didn't really have a set, but everything was being built up. We're starting to learn a bit about other characters. Chance is a bit cocky. After this episode, I came to realize that so much, but there are its downfalls. Not realistic water. This is the problem in all the episodes. I mean, this episode. Not realistic water. And this was the only episode to not have water. Very unrealistic, and that's my only gripe. But it is in my top 5, if I have to say so. I do like all the build-ups a bit. You know something's happening. You know something about a rival tug fleet. As soon as that tug comes in and takes that job away from the J-Stars, you know something's going on. You know it's a bit of sunshine. And it technically is a remake in 2 episodes. Yep, 2 episodes. You see, the reason is I didn't have the S-Stacks. If I could, I'd get the S-Stacks. Too bad. Past me. Next up, Mystery. This is the first episode to have realism. To have realistic water, finally. Quicker if you just stop bothering me, okay? It could be sooner it's done. The sooner I can finish. So quit bothering me. Next up is Mystery. Mystery is a very sneaky episode. Instead of introducing the J-Stars, it introduces the J-Stacks. Oh my gosh, I let it be 11 minutes. I did not intend for that. Oh well, didn't know that. Didn't notice. It introduced Crash the Crane. The crane! The crane! Oh my gosh, it's a crane! And that was a fart. Sorry. Is this a good episode? No. It's just a short episode, and in the background you can see stuff. If only I had that Lego. If only I had that Lego back! Why? Why? But enough about that. I give it a B. It's a very sneaky episode. Next up is munitions. Just kidding. It's science. It should have called us chemicals. This is a remake of munitions, except not musicians. Blue Nose is basically just Green Nose but green. It's just green nose. It's just blue nose, but green. This tugboat character is like a mixed bag. No other tugboat like him. Kind of like many tugs. But I don't know why they could have just used one of the white tug. Used one of the extra tugs to make two of the other Z stacks. Is it so hard to think of some name? What's wrong with them? I will never get why they could have used some of the extra tugboat props, and just sculpt some extra faces for them. Why couldn't they do that? I am so frustrated about that. I guess they did have enough money on their hands. I guess that's why. I guess I'll never know. It's a very, very munition. Chemicals are going across the port. And here's the plot point. Chemicals are going up. A science facility has been struck down by a tornado down south. They've been invited back up north to work as a facility to rebuild a facility there. The science facility also has a tugboat working for them, being a privately owned tug. So both tug fleets are given contracts to transport the science facility, as there was no other work for them to do. Green Nose would try and get all the credit. Green Nose would try and get all the credit from the other tugs, so does all their work. It soon corrupts one night when chemicals have been bumped by him. He was soon sent away packing, never to be seen again. Well, until without a tug. Speaking of which, let's get into it. One Without a Tug is basically a story build-up. Yeah, you can see my bandage. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Anyways, I don't want to talk about it. This video is basically sort of a redemption. Hanko and Sarah are getting flashbacks of their past. They miss working at their old port, at their old Coast Guard center. They ask Captain John Starr if they can go to the Coast Guard station for a visit. He says yes, but the tug team still needs help. So he brings in two. That was another far of mine. Two and other tugs, which being the introduction for a new character called. I don't know where he is, but it's Lockie. It introduced Lockie to the world. It introduces Lockie. It soon gives a little bit of backstory with Tim and Lockie, and been old friends. Kind of how Billy Shoepack and Sunshine are sort of like friends. I don't know, but it's in one scene they feel like they're friends. A very exciting episode. One Without a Tug is a definitely good one. But oh, I love this. It feels like it's moving. Tom and Green Nose get arguing. It soon pays out when Green Nose gets rid of the other two tugs. A very interesting one. Next up, episode 5, Tug Trouble. This is the 5th episode, everybody. The 5th one, Tug Trouble. Introduces the last J star to be introduced to the port. little Mealy. Mealy has been introduced in this story. Tim is intimidated by him being a better class than him, being a better type than him, replacing his type. They soon come together when he figures out Cole had bullied. Sorry for lowering the volume. So sorry. Anyways, I said anyways. Sorry. He soon gets rid of both Paul and the other tug, I think. I don't know who that was. But the story doesn't end there. This guy, which I forget the name of, gets trapped. He has the people aboard him has no money. The JS stacks will not help him, so the J stars are willing to help. His driver goes into port and gets his money and pays them. While doing so, the ship thanks him, and both Tim and Mealy become good friends. Next up, episode 6, Rescue Services. Here's the bad one, the worst, the terriblest. And why do I hate this? It's because it's about the rescue vehicles. And there's nothing else about them. There's nobody else in it. There's no cause. It's really my worst episode. The main reason is it's just introducing the rescue services. Pretty much. So, two security boats are needed to help out Alan, the red cruise ship. Help out Alan. So, while they're doing there, they befriend Furnace and Larry. But it was soon time for them to leave. They do several rescues while they're there. But then when it's time to leave, Alan says they can stay here. The rest of the team stays, and that's pretty much it. Yes, that's all that happens. That's all they do. I know, this is why I least like this. A very poor episode and was just made for filler pretty much. But anyways, let's get into Industries. A very neat episode. Now then there's Industries. Which introduces the industry of the port. Chance was tasked with doing scrap deliveries. While so he had a shipment of scrap going to the upriver. Tim and Lockie were talking until he came. Wow, I'm getting really good shots from all this. And cars are in the background. Wow. Anywho, Chance has been putting down Lockie, but Lockie didn't really mind that much. But it did hurt his feelings a little. But soon pays him out when Chance breaks down. It's a very good and Chance comeback story. But what I don't like about this entire episode is the fact that I have to rub in the industries at the back of the episode, because I forget to do that at the beginning. A very poor way. It's not the worst episode. Episode 8, Scrap. Chance got a punishment from Captain Johnston. Star. He was very mad for at Chance and put him off scrap deliveries, scrap contracts. Chance was very mad about this and Captain John Star put the switchers in charge. Chance was very mad about this and did not want this to happen at all. So he scares the little switchers by saying the scrapyard crane is a scrap monster who scraps any tug he sees. They all go there and always get super scared whenever they go. Finally, Mealy goes and comes to befriend the crane named Scrappo. It's one of my second favorites, apart from, well, the next episode is definitely my favorite. The bad title, but I can pass it. Episode 9, Story. Chance has gotten another punishment from Captain John Star. He was really mad this time. He was set to punish his own tug. He was set to punish his tug by making him go to the Maritime Museum in St. Pancras Pier. He's up on display. People are very interested in him because being an experimental tug. While being here, he meets Appleton Hall. He tells him a story how he was cocky like him, but it does not pay off like that, and you should be grateful for your work. That's a lesson that I think all kids should learn. Even me, even my sister, everybody. This is a lesson smudged in. It's not too smudged in, it's not thrown in there. It's just calmly put it in. I told it to my dad once, and he was very surprised. I told it to many people I knew, and it was a very scary story. Not so scary, but it gives thrills. Coming home, he now was a changed tug. That was the way he redeems himself. Many redemption stories just have him do something good. Been there, done that kind of story. But this story massages it right in. My favorite episode by far. But the title, Story. The reason is I couldn't think of any other title for it, so story had to go. So, anyways, that's pretty much it. Next up, episode 10, Sunk. Some of the big tugs had left the port, which left the switchers to do the towing work. A big important ferry ship is coming to the port, and both are arguing on who's going to take it in. Charlie and Mealy start arguing on who's going to go. They soon ram into the ferry ship and sink it. It was sunk. They needed Lockie to get it out. Mealy and Charlie were very ashamed of themselves. They soon decide all of them should pull it together. Coming back, all the other tugs made a complete joke out of it. Made a complete joke out of it and called it was sunk. That's the entire episode. It's like in the 4. I mean, it's a good episode, but not the best. Next up, Herc's the Hero. Here's the Edwards exploit episode. There are 2 night duty jobs where Chance and Herc's would get and High Tide and Chinnerton get the job to do night jobs around the near ports. They would take some ships into the outer quaysides, and in the morning, the other tugs would take them into dry dock. Doing so, is the introduction. This is also the introduction for Asteria. You'll see more of her in the next episode, in season 2, pretty much. Herc finds a ferry ship up ahead on his route. He decides to help it, even though he was going to be late. While doing so, he's a special tug, but who needs 2 engines. One of his gears breaks his engine completely. He only has 1 engine to rely on. Come on, said Herx, and kept on going. Made it back to port. The other 2 were very mad at Herx for leaving them all to work. But when people shouted out of the ferry ship, they soon had a next thought. When Herx came home, they nicknamed him Herx the Hero. And a hero indeed. Next up, Tug for a Tug. It's now to my 3rd least favorite episode, episode 12. Nothing really happens in this episode. The main plot is that 2 tug fleets called Greyhounds and Lightning Strikers become the upriver fleets to work upriver jobs, as the tugs are already busy downtown. During the time, one of the tugs called Chase gets mad at a crane called Carl. He soon insults a train called William that works on the railroad, the dockyard and portside railroad. Sometimes gives me a kick. Anyways, the main plot technically told them was both tug fleets arguing. Herx and High Tide were tasked to train them, and while working with them, they soon realized how dumb they were back then. But not anymore. Which soon, a very nice episode. It's in my top 10. Now for History of the Port. Now here's my 4th least favorite episode. Why exactly? It's technically because, well, the tugboats just tell a little bit about history. We learn a bit about Herx a bit. Yeah, it's a backstory for some of the tugs. Pretty much almost all the tugs get backstory except for poor Tom and George. They don't get a backstory. Pretty much. Mealy gets sort of backstory. Tim gets a backstory. 3 of them some of them didn't get a backstory. Sorry. But pretty much this is just the history of the port. And that, my friends, concludes the entire season of Stories of the Lighthouse. What season 2 is going to be, I hope better. Anyways, this is a video to celebrate the entire 1st season. What's to come to next season? I don't really know. I have some plot lines and scripts ready for another episode. But anyways, it's me, your Car City Adventure Lessons, and I'll see you next time. Bye!